What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to rank the Batman Arkham games. I thought this would be kind of a fun thing to do right before Gotham Knights, seeing that I've actually never done it. Now, if you guys have watched the channel for a while, you probably know my ranking. Now, these are based off of my favorites. I am keeping in mind, like, best versus favorite, but the ones that are going to end up winning out, tend to be the ones that I really think vividly of, and that's a major, part of this ranking. So there's only 4 of them, so let's get right to it. Number 4 is Batman Arkham Origins. This one also, I think a lot of these, and you'll probably find me saying this for a lot of these, a big part of it too was kind of the lead up to these games, and I remember the lead up to literally every single one of these games, and Origins was that one that was like, I remember getting Origins, and I remember not playing it for a quite some time. Like, I literally got it day one, and I just never really felt a desire to go into it. I think I knew the situation back then that, it wasn't Rocksteady and all that, and it's definitely a good game. Like, none of these games are bad whatsoever. I really do like Origins. I think there's some elements of Origins that are better than other games. I think visually it still holds up, and I think it's a good time. Also, when you consider about it being a Christmas game, I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff, seeing that there's not too many games that have, themes like that. So it is a very solid game overall. I would even go further than that to say it's a very good game. It's just, and you could probably tell based off my words, I have the least amount, and I always have. I've had the least amount to say about this game out of all of the Arkham games, and that was kind of my view back when it came out, that I just didn't really care, and I also didn't care nearly as much if we're comparing it to the other games that already had come out, right? The other Arkham games, and then the ones that were about to. So it just doesn't, reach the heights of the other game. Number 3, I'm gonna say Arkham Knight. Now, this one's tough because I do actually like Arkham Knight, I would say, a lot more than most people I've seen online. I tend to focus on the strengths of this game, and obviously some of the weaknesses of this game really drag it down. And I think there's some that are not nitpicky, but some that people focus on quite a bit. And then there's also like, well, do we all generally agree that it's not a very strong story as compared to the other ones? And that's kind of where I come in and say, actually, I think it's pretty okay. So that's maybe the controversy of me, is I do believe I like Arkham Knight more than most people. Again, I remember this story. I believe it came out just a few days because my birthday is June 28th. So I got this game at midnight, I downloaded it, and I know I woke up the next morning, and I had downloaded it overnight, so it was just all ready to go, and then I played it just a few days before my birthday, and it didn't take me long, honestly. I think I beat this game 3 or 4 days. I probably beat it the day after my birthday, and I really enjoyed myself. The biggest thing to me was I had always psyched myself up that Joker was not dead. I've talked about this 1,000 times on the channel. I really believed the stunt at the end of Arkham City was not, as it seemed. And there was evidence, in my opinion. I'm going to stand on this prediction that I had back then. I mean, I really believed he didn't die. So I really psyched myself up that he was going to come back. Now, the fact that he did come back, I do think that upset a lot of people because that took away from the other villains, namely Arkham Knight and Scarecrow, in this game. And I do agree. I mean, I don't know if it was a brilliant idea to bring Joker back because he really did take away from the other villains that were already in the game. But I had always thought and almost even hoped that he was going to come back. So I didn't dock points or think of it all that negatively at all, to be honest with you. I was like, yes, I was right. Well, I was right, but I also wasn't, because how he came back wasn't the way I said, and he wasn't actually alive. So, but I mean, gameplay was honestly so good. This game still feels silky smooth. It really does. Visually, the game is beautiful. Like I said, I'm not as hard on the story as others. There's the Arkham Knight issue, right? That entire thing. That is definitely an issue. But the overall story, I didn't mind it. I like Scarecrow quite a bit. I liked, besides him disappearing for most of the game, once other villains kind of like one-up him, not a fan of that. But honestly, when I think back at these games, this one is probably my second favorite memory, like, of a game, if I think back. And I think I'll get to the one that's my favorite. But this is where kind of best versus favorite comes in. I have great thoughts of playing this game. I remember this game probably more clearly in my journey through it than the others. I remember how I was feeling at the very end, even seeing like the secret ending. I remember all that, and that holds a lot of weight to me when I am ranking these. But I also do think City and Asylum are overall better games, and so that's why, Knight ends up becoming third. Now, here's where the twist really is, and I think I've said this before. You guys should know my order. Number 2 is Arkham City. Is it the best Arkham game? It probably, like, if you take some steps back objectively, not really subjectively, it probably is the best Arkham game, Arkham City, in terms of just how it's built and all the stuff it managed to do and the jump that it made from Asylum. It's another example of game sequels, and there are quite a few, right, that the second game just takes it to a 11 out of 10 where the first game couldn't get there, and that really is Arkham City. I do like Arkham Asylum more. We'll get there. But Arkham City is also very special. So I remember getting this game, and this one took me a while. This was definitely... And Arkham Knight didn't have this problem. They all came out kind of in the era where I would buy games but not play them, or I would buy them and not get through them. It took something, kicking me in the back to really, move forward with it. Knight, I never had that problem. Like, I truly did. I beat Knight within, like, a week or less than a week. City took a whole lot longer. I remember playing City day one, but man, I just let it sit there, and I just would come back every so often. And I definitely don't think that helps to, to pull away from City. I think the strengths of Arkham City is really being there and experiencing it all of the story, but also the side things that you can do in the city. I love how it's broken up. The story of Arkham City is extremely, extremely good in all facets of it. The Joker obviously is very important, but like a Mr. Freeze and even Penguin and stuff, they're and Hugo Strange obviously being the biggest one. There are some awesome things in Arkham City, and again, taking really, and this is I think why a lot of people do like it. It really took all the best that we think of when we think of Arkham Asylum and put it in definitely a more open world. Now, Knight was like the open world, but City was that, that we're going to try it, we're going to see what we can do. And they did really good. And sometimes bigger isn't always better, right? So sometimes, a city not being all that big, there's not 100 side villains, there's not 100 different things to do except, Riddler stuff. But there is enough. There is enough to, extend the length of time you're playing Arkham City. And then the story itself, with what they do with Joker, with the end, I mean, it's the strongest. I mean, I would say it's the strongest ending, of any of the, and the best, like strong meaning good, of all the Arkham games. So and I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked. Like I said, I wouldn't call myself in denial because I still think there's proof that Joker didn't die there. But that's where I was at. I was blown away by this game. I really was. But I remember, dead serious, even at the time, I was thinking, it's impossible. It's impossible to beat Arkham Asylum. So that leads me to Arkham Asylum. So a big reason, okay, outside of the game is the story of me going into it. So my story with Arkham Asylum is I feel like I knew very, very little that there was even a game, being made on Batman. And I remember literally watching an IGN review that came out. It gave it whatever it gave. I think they gave it a 9 or a 9.5. And I remember watching the review and thinking, this game looks awesome. And it's not a bad superhero game, right? Like, it's probably pretty good. And IGN gave it, whatever score they did. And I remember I was going to a concert the day I watched that review. So that day, before we went to the concert, we had to go, get food or like subs, for sandwiches for the concert before. And I remember when we went into, I think it was Walmart, most likely, I walked in and I had money and then I bought Arkham Asylum and I downloaded it the night of, like when we got back from the concert, and I started playing it the day after. And I put so much of my time into this game. Another, kind of element of this game that does stand, that's different, I should say, than past. I have beaten all of them more than once. Arkham Knight probably second most, and then Arkham Asylum. Arkham Asylum, I think I've beaten 6 times, but even the first time, I remember I had a CD player, a literal CD player, and I would listen to music, I think maybe Green Day, and I would be playing the challenge missions of seeing, to get the highest like combo and stuff. And man, I just played that game over and over, and it was the end of the summer, right? Because it was at the end of August. Now, I didn't get it day one. I got it slightly after day one, but school was starting. So I played this leading into that year of school. And then even when I would get home from school, that would be the game I played. And I beat it pretty quickly, but I also just played it a lot. And again, kind of odd for me to do that. I didn't really do that for a long period of my life. And so that does, I mean, you know, that's a story. Maybe you guys care, maybe you don't, but that really, you know, that'll always be part of me. I'll always remember that. And that was a long time ago, and I still can remember those details. So, you know, that's the outside stuff. The inside stuff, I mean, it really did blow me away. And it probably was because I had no idea what I was getting into. I was into games, but I had really no knowledge that they were making this game at all. So everything that we saw, from the cutscenes to just how the game flowed, I almost pressed the off button on my PlayStation with the scarecrow thing. I actually thought my system was broken because I didn't know. I really didn't know at the time. So maybe I was pretty gullible, I guess, right? But no, I mean, so many things got me from that, you know, something kind of silly like that. But the visuals, how it controlled, the story, I think is very, very good. And it's pretty simplistic, right? I don't need a game. And now, again, I'm not saying they didn't potentially get better as they continue to grow. I think Arkham City is probably the better game. And so in that way, they probably did actually get better as they got bigger, until maybe you could debate, right, with Arkham Knight. But Arkham Asylum, just, you know, it's small. It's a small overall game. It doesn't take too long to beat the story, I guess, compared, right? Not necessarily. It's not like 5 hours long, but compared to the rest, it's small. You can get through it in a few days, but if you really go through and do everything, or you replay it, and then those challenge maps and the predator maps, and again, I did those over and over and over again. I love it. I mean, this is one of my favorite games of all time, from every kind of element, and it's one of my stronger kind of memories of playing this game. It'll always be a part of me. So, you know, that almost, it's cheating. That alone kind of puts it above the other games. I don't have the same feeling going into even Night being the end, like the literal end of it. I know I was like emotional, like I was ready to see what they were gonna do. I was worried, I was excited. So maybe that emotion kind of is close, but just my story of going into Asylum and then just not really knowing what was about to happen, it was special. And it never happened again because I was in, right? I was in, so I knew when City was coming out. I knew about Origins. I knew about Night, and Night I was really into. I think covered Arkham Knight as some of the very first videos on this channel because I started the channel in 2015. So, you know, all these games kind of have different eras of my life, but Arkham Asylum always will. It really will. And if I add Gotham Knights to it, boy, that should be fun. I mean, we'll definitely maybe try to do another one of these rankings once Gotham Knights comes out, if we can even compare them. But, you know, at that point, maybe just ranking DC games in general. But I hope it can make, you know, an Arkham Knight-like impact, Arkham City. I don't think it will. I hope it will, but we'll see what happens. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.